When speaking about China's role in Africa, you have to remember that China and all other world governments are intricately connected with people that rule the world and therefore cannot be seen as an independent entity trying to take over the continent of Africa. It is purely from this perspective of China being controlled by world powers that I will conduct China's influence within the continent of Africa, still considering that people within various governments will have their own ambitions, their own interests, and that people from any specific country and company, and even within their private lives, will serve out their own business interests, their own private interests, and for the Chinese government and officials, some of their political interests. Irrespective of what people might think is the overall goal of China within Africa, one has to consider what goal does the New World Order ideologists want to achieve with China in Africa? Because all world governments at the end of the day depend on funding, and that funding comes only from one place. And that one place has been controlled by the Rothschild family and their descendants for centuries. And if you've watched my video on the Rothschild family, you will see their influence playing out throughout Africa and using many influences to do so. Because the Bavarian Illuminati made their plans clear that they would use governments, militaries from all over the world to achieve their enlightenment objectives. Even China, Russia, the US, any of these large countries with large military powers are still controlled financially by the New World Order. And China is no exception when it comes to their influence in Africa. Now, China is colonizing Africa at the moment. This is a fact. The evidence shows this. China has come into Africa and taken over many construction projects. Many of the workers that they use to build these projects are from China. Many of the time they do not use the local workers or give them employment. They are building massive cities within Africa for their own purposes. These purposes are not meant for China. The funding comes from exactly the same place. And the main goal is to subvert the numerous cultures within Africa that are not only very conservative, but very religious, not conducive for the New World Order to roll out and enforce their ideology. Africa, to the New World Order, is a huge problem continent. And there's only two ways of resolving their problem, and they are attacking it at two specific fronts. The one is colonization. China has been chosen to perform this job because China is a communist country. And communism has been chosen as the best system because capitalism can be used as well, but this has failed within Africa to control the people. So communism is the only way forward and the chosen way for the New World Order to gain control of the cultures and populations within Africa. China fits the bill perfectly and is being applied and funded accordingly. No nation in the world will rise to prominence without New World Order influence. This I have to make perfectly clear. The rise and might of China absolutely happened because of the influence of the Rothschild family and their descendants and the Bavarian Illuminati plans. So if you want to look at the role of China in Africa, you have to go back to what the end goal of the Bavarian Illuminati was. The end goal was simply a one world government with a one world leader with a one world religion. How do you make this happen in Africa? And China's role will become abundantly clear. So, how does China go about colonizing Africa? They do it in true Rothschild fashion. You take over completely by indebting everyone to the point where they become your slaves and you can demand whatever you want. And China is doing exactly that. Currently, there are very few large projects within Africa not financed or actually arranged and built by China themselves, not using African workers, but using and importing their own. Most of these people do not leave Africa when the projects are done. They remain right here. Seeing that the Chinese are only tools in the New World Order toolbox, they are doing all the dirty work so that one day the New World Order ideologists can just step in and they will have all the infrastructure they need within the continent. It is crucial for New World Order ideology to work for large metros to be built and for urban areas to be developed. All the infrastructure for high-speed internet is crucial for them to be able to put all the technology in place for the New World Order to monitor your every move on the African continent. The blueprints for this plan has been drawn up a long time ago, and the project has been ongoing for a couple of decades now. But new developments in the past decade has gotten the world's attention, where China has literally gone and taken over ports as well as now complete state-owned companies for repayment on their debt. How could African countries make deals with China where they hand over sovereignty to things like seaports as well as their own companies? This New World Order concept is very simple. You basically starve people of everything they need for survival. You exclude them from the normal world economy, and soon they will go begging to China. And it's not as if China needs begging. They will be right at the front of the queue offering their assistance. Their assistance will look very attractive at first, but if you read the small print, you will be handing over your sovereignty to another sovereign country. But as we know, under the New World Order, no sovereignty exists anywhere in the world. These people believe that they are above the law and above any country. They believe in a one world government, a one world religion, and a one world leader. So why would they bow down to any government or any people or any culture and their ideals? So what other countries have actually shown a keen interest in the people of Africa? The answer is none. The people of Africa are on their own. Their governments are selling them out to New World Order agencies. One country and one business, one port at a time, and one state-owned entity at a time. All this while the people of Africa look on in absolute disbelief. So how do we combat this New World Order orchestrated Chinese colonization of Africa? The answer is simple: one country at a time. The irony is that the very means that was made available for all of us to be surveilled, the internet, can also be used to combat the very plans of the New World Order ideologists. And we will make use of every avenue available to us to spread the word throughout Africa and let Africa rise up and speak for itself for once. In the next video, I will cover the Chinese influence specifically within South Africa. It is important to first get the big picture to understand our place in the sun. And once you understand that China is still controlled by the New World Order ideologists, then you will be very clear on their plans for South Africa, because South Africa is a very different country to the other countries in Africa, and very unusual tactics have to be used to subvert all the people here. South Africa has been identified as one of the greatest challenges to the New World Order agencies, and a lot of focus has been placed on our country with specific target programs to subvert us, destroy us financially, economically, culturally, and through religion, break us down completely by attacking the very foundations of our religious beliefs. This strategy is extremely powerful. It makes us tired. It makes us weak. It makes us doubt ourselves. It makes us give in. And it makes us lose hope. All these methods employed by the New World Order agencies via the Chinese are methods of torture and well researched and well established to be extremely effective. After tiring us out through various methods of torture throughout this lockdown period, many people will give in to the relief offered, and often this relief will come from China. Be sure to look out in the coming days and weeks for various offers from China to assist South Africa and provide relief in many different ways. Don't be fooled by this. This is just another method that the New World Order agencies use their agent, China, to capture the very essence that makes South Africa unique in the world. Please subscribe to Double O Des and click the bell icon so you can get notifications of the latest videos.